Hey people that are interested in cats, the paranormal and things. So today I've decided I'm doing interviews, and the first person I'm going to interview is John, who is the leader of the National Housing Party UK. So let's just turn this camera around. So, first of all, introduce yourself.
My name's John Lawrence. I'm 58 years old and I'm from Oldham in Greater Manchester.
Yep. And right, before we go into the actual political side of what you're into, we're going to go into your early life. The embarrassing side.
Well, my dad was West Indian, Windrush guy, came over with a brother and a sister. Started in London, Nottingham, ended up in Manchester, met my mum. My mum's family from Oldham. I think my mum was born in South Manchester at the time, but we're from Oldham, and got a rich history here. My mum's white, and obviously my dad's Jamaican. And then he built a life here, and he had a load of kids, and we're part of his life. He was a great man in the community, a leader of governor of a school. He founded the West Indian Association in Manchester as one of the founders. He also was on the National Lotteries Funding Commission, and a very big community member. And my dad even was very relevant at the Oldham Bradford riots as well, in communicating with both the council and the Pakistani community in Oldham. But yeah, so I was born, went to Grange School in Oldham, born 1967, went to Grange School, did me learning there. Never did any after school or anything. Started work before I left school. I was in a full-time job in my holidays, 40 hours a week. And when I left school, didn't want to go into further education. I just went into work. And I've worked the rest of my life.
So did you do any of them was it YTS schemes? Because that's what they were out in them days, weren't they?
Did YTS, yeah. 3-day, 2-day. So you get a job with council and you work 3 days one week and 2 days a week after. That was for over YTS thing, but I did a YTS course. I can't remember what I even did it on. It might have been something like woodwork or something.
Like but it's good for future projects when you're older.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So you can do things at home, and obviously when you're older you can do things for yourself. So you did your education, went to ITS, but for people that doesn't know that, it was like the youth training scheme. So yeah.
And then obviously my working life, working around Oldham or Manchester, in this area. In some mills, I've had all different kinds of jobs, but logistics was my thing. In a mill, loading trucks, unloading, stuff like that. I'm very good at stuff like that, counting and stock counting and all that kind of thing. That's where I'm exceptional in. And my working life wasn't just a plain job. I was a team leader or a supervisor in most places where I worked, because I had a bit of noggin, and I'm a leader anyway. That's why I'm a leader of the National Housing Party United Kingdom.
Yeah.
But yeah, my sisters, we grew up in Oldham, and we could say it was difficult back in the day, but we just got on with it.
Yeah, because obviously in early times, a black guy being with a white woman, it was quite controversial, but now obviously things are not seen the same nowadays.
Yeah, well, I mean, they might make it that like white people are always worse, but my mum used to get spat on off black people and white people when she was younger. It weren't just white people, it was black people and white people, because black people didn't believe in mixing either.
No.
You know what I mean? And but you'll never hear that off the mainstream. The mainstream will just tell you it's a white man's fault, but that's off my mum's mouth, and she was 88 years old, so I believe me mum.
Yeah, definitely. She was a lovely person when I used to know her as well, because obviously I met you when you were quite younger as well.
Yeah, well, we grew up in the same area.
Yep.
And a lot of the people we know grew up in the same area and stuff like that. We went to the same schools, we did the same things.
Except for me, I didn't go to the same school as you. I just met you around the estate where I lived.
And growing up in Oldham Town Centre, St Mary's, I was originally born on Marlborough Street, Glodwick. We moved to Chief Street, Glodwick, then we moved down to Godstone Street, next to the Oldham Brewery at the time was there, yeah. And the house where we lived is now Trinity House, the big flats, Trinity House, and that's where we lived. And then we moved, as the family got bigger and there was 4 of us, we moved to a brand new house on Bridgewater Street.
Bridgewater Street, yeah.
Just round the corner from here, that way.
Yeah.
And then as we got older and we left the house, my mum downscaled and ended up moving into a 3-bedroomed house on Barker Street. And then that were it, so...
So you've seen an awful lot of things changing over the years.
I have, yeah, certainly have. I was around... Well, no, I was an adult in the riots time in 2001. And I mean, a lot of you lot online now, you are just babies. You are just babies. I was around, I was an adult. Working adult at the time of the riots, and had to see my town burning because of political correctness and the council's inability to deal with issues between communities, which is in the Ritchie report into the riots. So that's what it says in the Ritchie report. And it's mad that my dad warned the council of these things in the 90s. And when the riots came and when the report came out of afterwards, it was blamed on the things that my dad and other community members said to the council. So the council haven't been listening for 50 years, guys.
See, other people are predicting all this is going to kick off anyway. So, you know, no, it's not going to happen. Well, there you go. Right, we've just come back because we just got slightly interrupted. So we'll get back on to carry on. Go.
So that's 2001. And... since then, I've seen just the change in society itself and stuff like that. And when I mean a change, like in the year 2000, there was no such thing as a trans person. Now it's all over the place and it's a political statement. So in 20 odd years, it's been indoctrinated into our people. And I've seen this 20 years ago, me. And I commented on it. I used to talk to people about it. And then maybe 10 years ago, I was thinking about running in local elections. And then 3 years ago, I started this party with a lad in London, and now I run in local elections, and I want to get a seat on Oldham Council.
And who's the lad in London?
Patrick McGuinness. It's called. And me and him founded the party together. But I must say, he's been a backbone, because as you know, I had to look after my mum.
Yes.
The last 5 years, I looked after my mum, advanced Alzheimer's. And he knew this, so I couldn't put as much effort into the party as I could. You know what I mean? Because of like looking after my mum and the restrictions and stuff like that. But no, we got a party running. We're successful, as in we're running candidates every year in local elections. We haven't got one elected yet, but it is coming.
That's good. So let's go back to the past and growing up.
Well, I mean, we're kids, and there were no mobile phones or internet then, and you had to use a phone in the house, and the house phone was near the front door where the wire come in.
Yeah.
That's how we used to have it, and obviously, when we wanted to go and speak to our mates, if they didn't have a phone, we'd have to go and knock on the door. So we was always out, you know, we weren't staying in or anything.
Yep.
And there wasn't really any computer games then. Just as I was getting a bit older, like the Atari 2600 come out, and then you used to have the Commodore 64 and the Spectrum. Yep. They were all pretty new. But like we was gamers, all me and all my mates were gamers, so we loved them kind of things. But like I said before, I worked in my holidays in my last year of school a full-time job. And when I left school, I just wanted to work and earn money. And that's what I did. I never did further education. Anything else I've learnt, skills I've learnt, have been learnt in the workplace. So for the next few years, YTS, 3-day, 2-day with the council, doing stuff like that. And then my late teens, getting into like mill work and logistical work. By the time I was like 30 or 40, I was in a team leader or a supervisor position, most of the places where I worked. staff trainer, stuff like that. Really competent in explaining things to people and the right way to do things. And then getting into getting up to like the 2000s, into my 40s, that's when I started to be more politically aware. And, you know...
like waking up, isn't it, really?
And like in my 30s and stuff like that. And, you know, I'd had a bit of trouble with police when we were younger, but nothing to write home about. Not like the crimes that teenagers do these days, like murder.
No.
And stuff like that. There was nothing, things like that, they just didn't exist in my time and stuff. And kids never had knives or anything. When we were teenagers, like if you had a problem with someone, you had a fist fight and that were it. But there weren't like 20 people jumping on you. It was one-on-one, and people used to make sure it was like one-on-one.
Yep.
But yeah, and as I grew up, I seen the change in the country, and up to like the 2000s, we only had 50,000 people a year, 40 to 50,000 people a year. After the 2000s, that started going up to hundreds of thousands and stuff like that. And it's changed our country. In just 25 years, our country has changed so dramatically. So even in like my 40s, I probably would have been thinking of like council, being a counsellor, supporting communities and stuff like that. And I would say about 15 years ago, I put my sight on going that way, and then got into the political thing, and I'm here now. I'm here.
Yeah, so you've come quite far. So you never had any children?
No kids myself, but all the rest of my sisters and my family all have kids. I'm an uncle, great uncle, godfather of 4. So, you know, I've had time like bringing up and being a role model for kids. And I say this because a few years ago we're in the Tommy Field, and this young lad's come up to me. Well, he's not young, he's in his 20s. And
Still young enough, really.
Said his name was Steve, whatever his name was. He was one of Cyan's friends when he was younger. And he said to me, you know what, you were just straight and honest with us, you know, like, you know, we did stuff, and you're always good, you know, never treated us badly, never swore at them or anything, unless they did something wrong, which the kids do normally do, and I'd berate them. I would, in front of whoever I would. It had to be done, but...
See, they don't do stuff like that nowadays, and this
Not
is why...
allowed to.
Yeah, that's it. It's so silly, because at the end of the day, this is why children are the way they are, because you're not allowed. And it's like, oh, everybody's a winner, nobody's a loser. And this is what's got into children's minds.
Yeah, and they have too many rights, and, you know, you can't even shout at your kid these days, but, you know, some of these kids need shouting at.
Yeah, they do.
Some of the things they do, because if I had a teenager who was 15 and he went out and stabbed someone, I'll tell you, I would be fuming. But kids don't respect the parents, they don't respect their elders.
Nope.
They don't respect the police, they don't respect authority, they don't.
Nope.
And they're uncontrollable these days. So I've seen a lot of that as I was growing up, and seen the difference. I've seen the change in society. I've seen our kids become more violent and stuff like that. And you know, it's just pushed me to be in the position I'm in now to support a local community.
As well, they took away certain rules, like, yeah, there's all right, parents were going over the top somewhere, like when they were over-hitting the children, like going into, I don't know whether I could say the words, I'm not, but, you know, where they actually really, really hurt children to the point they end up in hospital and getting taken away. But then there's smacking your children, giving them a smack on the hand, or, you know, but now you're not even allowed to do that. And it's just like, really? So if your child's done something naughty, you can't give them a little tap on the back of the legs or something, stuff like that? No, you're not. And this is where children run complete riot, because they have got no discipline. Sometimes children, if you take things off them, it doesn't always work. It does work with some, but not with all. I used to put my kids' stuff into bin bags and be like, right, that's it, they're going in the bin. Didn't work. You know, I tried.
So yeah, so you know, I've had a good relationship with my friends, with their kids and stuff like that. You know, we weren't horrible. Like if my nephew, I was looking after my nephew, he could have a couple of mates come round and we'd play games, Mega Drive or PlayStation 1. We'd play them kind of games and stuff like that. But I mean, you know, I was coming home on bus a couple of years ago and I heard this girl going on about a new phone she wanted, £1,000. And I tell you what, she was X-rated with a family member on phone. When I got up off the bus to go down to the next level, I turned round to her and said, if I were your parent, you talk to me like that, I'd knock you out. That's what I said to her. And then I just got off the bus and she started effing and blinding. But the way she talked to her mum, I think it was, she was talking to, just wasn't, you know what I mean? No one would have talked to the mum like that. Over a phone costing £1,000, she would have to go out and work for that 40 hours a week. I wouldn't give her any money for £1,000 phone. But
nope.
That's the internet and social media and all that, which is a bad thing. I never liked social media, guys. I made my Facebook account 2007 and I'll umming and ahhing making it up then. You know what I mean? And but social media is an extension of my voice. It's good when you're a political party and stuff like that. It's good to get your stuff out, and a lot of people get that, but it's a bad thing because it's turned everyone inward. No one's outwards now.
Yeah, it's like conversations just stopped. People are not outside enough, so they're talking on social media, so there's no proper face-to-face interaction anymore.
And engagement and stuff like that, which that's what we should have.
Yeah.
And then obviously, without knowing someone or seeing with them, it's easy to groom kids and stuff like that.
Oh, yes.
And that's how a lot of grooming starts.
It does. And sometimes there could make fake profiles and pretend they're a child, take a picture from maybe a magazine and pretend they're that person.
Yeah.
And then obviously the child says, oh yeah, we'll meet up, and then they're not meeting another child, they're meeting an adult, and it's like,
well, no kid under 18 should be on Facebook, because you've got to be over 18 to even make an email officially, but there's no checks on that or anything.
No, there isn't.
Now, but they are doing it now because they knew that Online Safety Act, but that's a bit backwards because it's not just safety for kids, it's curtailing people's thoughts and free speech as well, adults and stuff. But that's the Online Safety Act. If you look into it, it'll tell you a bit more about it. But, you know, and like grooming gangs was one of the things that like I've known about for years. And there's been a lot of talk over the years of particular groups about it. And it's only now coming to light, but some of the cases that we're talking about go back to the 90s and 80s, and it was suppressed and covered up. Councils covered it up, police didn't record the right information, and then we got the scandal now. Now, if we didn't have things like political correctness upsetting minority communities, we won't be in this trouble. There won't be no Tommy Robinson, there won't be no far right, because these people would have been arrested in the first place. But because of things like political correctness, not wanting to upset particular people because they're a minority in the UK, has led to this grooming scandal. It's something I talk about all the time.
Yep.
I can 100% prove it with factual information, which I have done hundreds of times. I've been to dozens of court cases. I've talked to and interviewed victims of grooming gangs. And I've seen it from every angle. I haven't just seen it from minority grooming gangs. I've talked to people who've been abused by Catholic priests. I've talked to people who've been abused by white people in Oldham Council in the 80s. I've talked to all these people, so I get a good wide range of it. But
we did mention, actually it was on Matt's Live, that even somebody like Cyril Smith, and he was a white guy as well, from Rochdale.
Yeah, which is a big thing in Oldham and Rochdale, because a lot of the lads he abused come from Oldham, Rochdale, Ashton,
yes,
Middleton, stuff, areas like that, North Manchester areas. And like one of the guys who I talked to do with Cyril Smith, when he was younger and his parents tried to say something, one evening there was a knock at the door and it was a Men in Black there. like, listen, if you say anything about Cyril Smith, it'll be a bad thing that you do, and you'll be facing accountability for talking about a member of parliament. That's how they used to bully people in the old days, but they can't do that now. They can't bully you like that. They can, but
not as
you should stick up for your rights and say not guilty or not listen to, or say no comment. But they bully you to get you to change it. Your light went from green to red.
Yeah, I know. Don't worry about it.
So yeah, I've got big issues, but like I said, I want to work with the community, and the ward I'm working on is Hollingwood, supporting people with issues to do with the council, fly tipping, antisocial behaviour, and I've gone in headfirst to all these kind of things in that area, and people will tell you that. And on a wider scale, I'll support people across Oldham. The other week I was in Strinesdale, and there's an email I need to get drafted up there for local councillors who've been ignoring an issue up there. I was in Bath in Somerset the other week, and I met up with a woman, and she just got she had such a bad life of being abused, arranged marriage and stuff like that, and she's got a lot of health issues, and she's being like targeted by the Bath Council. And making up some kind of hate crime charge, which that's what the police love to do that now.
Oh yeah, everything's hate crime.
They're not bothered about like a burglary or anything, but it's a hate crime. Oh, it's a tick in the box for the police. It goes on the records and it makes them look good and all that. And you couldn't believe some of these hate crimes haven't even been to court. It's just someone said something and then it's gone down as a hate crime, even without an investigation or anything. Non-crime, hate crime or something it's called, and that's what they can do. So there's loads of these which bumps the hate crime figures up, but no one will ever talk about hate from the opposite way. It's always white people against everyone else, but that's not right, because there's other people of colour who've been abusive or nasty or bullied white people, but that's not the narrative that the news wants to show you. And, I understand statistics and stuff like that. I understand how many white people still live in this country. I understand there's only a small percentage of particular minorities. I get all that, I do. But these crimes still go on and are still covered up. And if you think that we're going to stand for it, then you've got another thing coming.
Right, so we said about children and how they are absolute little brats at the end of the day. I mean, not every child is, but a majority is, because obviously there's no discipline these days, because everything seems to be all politically, you can't do this, you can't do that. And obviously a lot of things have escalated on the streets, where there's stabbings, there's, people fighting gangs. And this is where you get these silly little gangs like Antifa, because they got away with all this, and you find they're all little rich baby brats. Well, that's what I think they are anyway. They are rich brats, aren't they? They don't know their ass from their elbow.
Yeah, middle class spoiled kids, like a lot of people will go for. And when you look at them, some of them are like that, and they've obviously been like proper indoctrinated at school and stuff. But yeah, so political. So like, I've always been a voter, voted when I can. My dad took me out voting when I was 18 or 19, whenever it were. And then I voted in between that. And, I looked at candidates, seeing what they were doing. I weren't happy with a lot of people. And I voted Labour in the beginning, in my early days. And then I stopped voting then in, like, my 30s, because I didn't want to vote for the Labour Party. And there was no one to vote for. Obviously, the BNP come round in like the 2000s, but as with everything, they were the nasty party. But they were the nasty party. But I met some lads who were campaigning with them at the time. They're just normal lads, who weren't nasty people. There might have been some nasty people at the top, but every political party, there's horrible people in it who were in that political party, just the same as any other political party. But so I wanted to get more involved. Then I moved to Bradford for 5 years after my dad passed away in 2006, and I went Bradford working for a few years. And when I come back, I was very politically involved. And while I were in Bradford, I weighed up the Respect Party, And then when I got back to Oldham, 2012, I looked into supporting UKIP and stuff like that, and met some guys. I sort of like interviewed a UKIP guy called Peter Klanowski, and he'll tell you this if you ever know him. And I asked him to come round to my house. I'm interested in the party. And I weren't going to run, but I'd help him. And when he come round, I had an A4 book full of things to question him about policies, what they had said about things, this, that and the other, climate and all this. And I interviewed him whether he would be the right kind of party for me. And I agreed with the party. And I supported him. Then referendum come.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, a lot of people like Nigel Farage. It wasn't him who I supported, it was UKIP. It wasn't just him. And when the referendum come, after the referendum, I was even more politically involved. And I would say about that time, just before referendum, when I was thinking about running in local elections myself, becoming an independent or joining a party and running as a candidate. So I was well on the way to doing what I'm doing now. And obviously, as an activist, I did a lot of stuff, and I worked on a particular campaign in Rowley Regis in the Midlands with a guy called Paul Rudge, and he ended up coming like second or third and surprised everyone. But I did a campaign down there for weeks, for 10 weeks. I went down every weekend on a Saturday, did door knocking, leaflet delivering, knocking. And it did well, but that honed my skills. After that, I was ready to run in elections myself. I was in Rochdale. I queried with Rochdale Council about the elections, got some information off them, and then carried on as an activist. And when I got to Oldham, come back to Oldham looking after my mum, my mate said, shall we start a party up? And we did. We started our own party up. We paid for it all ourselves. There's a little bit of a payment at the beginning that you got to do. We made a constitution. Now, I've never done a constitution before, but I finished off our constitution. So I'm well aware of how a constitution works, what you've got to do. We did have help of someone called Katie Fanning, God bless her, great girl. And we got rejected, but then we finally got accepted. So we're a fully registered political party from March 2022.
Cool.
And you can search us up on the political party list and that. And obviously we have to account for money that we get donated. So that's all online. You can see our transactions. I don't do this to grift, to make any money for myself. I don't take any money off the party. The only money we spend on the party is for leaflets and minor things like a website. And everyone knows you've got to pay for a website.
No, they definitely don't come for free.
And so that's all we do. We have paid a little bit of money for the odd little thing, like we have our own printer, so we can do our own membership cards and stuff like that. And that printer was expensive. But I think that was, we didn't have to pay for that out of money. I'm sure someone bought us that printer anyway, but that's what we use. So we're well
it
into
saves
it.
money, really, if somebody bought it for you at the end of the day.
We're well into it now. I've run three elections and one by-election. And I've had half-decent results in all the elections. My first election, I got 176 votes, which shocked quite a few people because they thought I were only going to get 50 votes. But the area where I'm running, I know everyone. That's why I got 176 votes. But I'm running again. We've run candidates in London, Gloucester, the Wirral, Bedford, Grimsby, Leicestershire. We're running candidates in Sutton and Cheam in outer London. So we've got quite a few candidates coming. But we do need money for leaflets. We've just ordered 15,000 leaflets, but we still need more money for them. And that's just under like £1,000, like 900 quid or something like that for them 15,000 leaflets. But that's what we want, and that's what we want to do. We want people to get encouraged to stand up in the local community. You'd be surprised how well you can do. in that case. And you don't have to be anything extra special. This woman once said to me, "Oh, I'm not clever enough to be in council." I said, "What job do you do?" She was a school governor. I said, "That's the kind of people we have in the council, school governors." And I'd rather have this. The councils are full of box tickers now, unfortunately. If you're a woman, ethnic minority or something, you box tick to get into the council or not, even though you can't do the job. If you're LGBT, you get box ticks. That ticks a box and you can get in. And most of these people who I say are box tickers haven't really got the decent skills. They're just box tickers. And I hate it, me. I've got skills. I've got skills that could be used within the council. I'm good in working on my own. I'm good working as a team. I'm a productive person in meetings, not disruptive. I don't shout and scream words at people in the council meeting like them R word, racist or anything. I don't do that sort of thing. I'm a very productive person, no matter what you've heard. But yeah, so we started the party up. That's the backing. This is our recruitment leaflet. So whenever we...
Oh, it's watching you.
Whenever we do a campaign, we do this leaflet first, and then we do the candidate's personal leaflet afterwards. And there you go.
I'll photograph that later and put it up on screen anyway, because it'd be a lot easier. It's a bit too...
Yeah.
Because the camera's starting to track you. That's why it's gone onto the green light. Yep.
And I'm here now, running in local elections. I'm quite confident I will get a seat on Oldham Council next few years. I'm very confident, actually. And I'm very confident that other candidates will get seats. Now, what do I think about the political parties? Well, let me tell you, Labour, I fell out with them a long time ago. Tories, just full of rich people who have ruined the country in the past 14, 15 years, have absolutely destroyed our country. You know, and the Liberal Democrats and stuff, the Green Party, these are really woke parties, and I don't like them. Now, Reform, let me get on to Reform. It's headed by Nigel Farage, and everything Nigel Farage touched, he leaves and breaks down. When he left UKIP, called them all racist. That's what he did. And Reform are part of the cancel culture, because they wouldn't have me standing as a candidate because they have a bit of a shady past. I filmed someone that they don't like or something like that, and I say things that like they don't say. They don't like, Reform don't like it when you talk about demographics, and they don't like these kind of things, but they don't want you to. And you know, there's been plenty of candidates who've been suspended for things like this. Now, right now, Reform are just full of Tories, some Labour people. That's all they're full of. And them are the same people that have been in power for the past 20 years. We don't want them people in power. So we're not happy with Reform. We don't like them. They're also, they also support Israel and Ukraine. And I don't support any of them.
It's not our war at the end of the day. So we shouldn't be involved at the end of the day.
It isn't, but the Israel thing, we're selling weapons, and weapons are made here that blow people up in Palestine, and we're, you know, like, people know this, but they're not bothered because they might be against Islam or anything. But Israel, you got to watch out for them. They have groups within our political parties, like the Friends of Israel. So they're influencing our politics, which doesn't help anybody in the UK, whether you're black, white, pink, green. Don't help anyone in the UK. It just helps foreign interests abroad. And I'm against anything like that, whether it be Israel, China, who've been donating to our members of parliament, or the Gulf states, who've donated 10 million to 162 MPs in 10 years. So yeah, I don't want any of that, me. You've got to stay out of politics. If you're in Britain, you've got to think of Britain and the UK, not the rest of the world, and not any other country. Should be us first.
Yep.
So it's got to the point now. I'm running in elections. I am now a leader of the party. Keir Starmer is a leader of the Labour Party. Yeah. John Lawrence is a leader of the National Housing Party, United Kingdom. I have exactly the same standing that he has in the Labour Party. Even though we ain't got a councillor, he's a leader of the Labour Party. I'm the leader of the National Housing Party, United Kingdom. We're not soft and we're not shy. If you want, we do weekly streams. We also do a Bible class because we're Christians. I'm not a practicing Christian, but I'd be a liar to say that Christianity had anything to do with the way I've been brought up. I'd be a liar because it has. Church of England, Boys Brigade, Sunday school. I've done all this when I was younger. So, you know, them are the influence I've had to bring me up to the person I am. You know, and Church of England, there was nothing extreme in the Church of England. You didn't have to, like, go to church every Sunday and pray. We did a little prayer, like the Lord's Prayer in the morning of the school, but they never, the rest of the school life, they never forced you to you know, to be into it. They never forced you to pray. Not like other religions. Not
Yes.
like other religions. But, so that's me. John Lawrence, Nationalising Party, United Kingdom Party Leader, and we're looking for people to stand up and be counted. And you stand up and be a candidate in your local election. Reform are going to change things, but the negative, there's more negative to reform than there is positive. They're not as, they'd want to keep accepting immigration. We don't. We campaign to halt permanent settlement and not give our passports out to refugees or asylum seekers. That's what we want. We don't want anyone else coming into the country, and we want to exit the 1951 Refugee Convention. People will go on about things. Immigrant built this country. Well, they didn't. The Windrush, there was 350 people come over on that boat. They didn't build Britain back. 350 people on the boat did not build Britain back. But, you know, I want what's best for the country I live in, and that's the United Kingdom. And also we believe that, like, it's like a campaign against white people and Western people at the moment to badmouth or say everything there is bad. You can come talk to me. I know my history. You can come talk to me about England's past. I'll tell you about its future. I'll tell you about whatever has happened. I can tell you that. And I can tell you from a truthful manner, not loads of bullshit and made up things. And I'll tell you as it is. But join the National Housing Party, follow us and become a candidate.
So any bits of information about John will be down in the description, and I will display here the leaflet and ways you can get hold of it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, share and subscribe, and thank you for watching. Bye.